Don't forget to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. Let all of your friends and family know to subscribe so that you know when the Center of Hope is going live.
Hey, come on. Y'all ready to go, Hot Nation? Hey, let's go. See, all of my life, I've never known you to fail. You remain the same, and wonderful is your name. All of my life, I've never known you to fail. You remain the same, and wonderful is your name. All of my life, I've never known you to fail. You remain the same, wonderful is your name.
Don't forget to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. Let all of your friends and family know to subscribe so that you know when the Center of Hope is going live.
You know, I'm thinking very hard about going back to school to do another doctorate degree. Thinking very hard about it.
I'm thinking about going back to get my GED. Why are you laughing?
God bless you and welcome to Real Talk. If it's 9 p.m. and it's Monday night, it's Real Talk. And I'm your co-host tonight, Bishop Mitchell G. Taylor. And I'm so glad that you're here. Listen, I need you to hit that share button and tag as many people as you can in your ecosystem and let them know that Real Talk is on the air. It's going to be a live discussion. We've got a special guest that's going to join us on tonight, all the way from Chicago, the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. And so we're so happy about that on tonight. Those of you that are joining us on tonight for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome to the group of real talkers that have decided to aggregate themselves on Monday night and join us and hang out with us. This is going to be a live conversation, so we need you to get in the comment section, ask your questions, make your statements, use the hearts, use the likes in order to amplify and accentuate points that are of interest to you. And we want to hear from you. This is your platform. This is your time to share, and our time to share together with you. Those of you on YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. Those of you on Facebook, welcome. And wherever the stream is being carried on tonight, let me bring my co-host in, the Honorable, His Grace, Bishop Liston Page II.
Bishop Taylor, Bishop Taylor.
You're a troublemaker, okay? All I want to say to you is trouble. Timothy Wright, one of my greatest, one of the greatest artists that I ever had the privilege of traveling with and promoting when me and you both worked for Savoy Records. But, you know, he said, he wrote a song, Trouble Won't Last Always. Let me tell you something. With you, trouble lasts always. You are trouble. You are double trouble. I'm not gonna let the real talkers know how much trouble you start. But it's like the young man from the legislator. I'm running a blank right now. He wrote the book on Good Trouble. I'm Bishop.
I forget his name. Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
It's going to come to me in a minute. But anyway,
he passed.
Yes, he passed away. He passed away. And but you start Good Trouble. So you're a good troublemaker. What's going on, man? What trouble you done started this weekend?
No, I haven't done anything. I'm innocent of all charges. I'm innocent.
Are you suggesting, Bishop, that someone has leveraged some charge against you?
You have. You have.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Real talkers, he is absolutely right on tonight. Well, listen, I don't want to belabor the time on tonight. You know, we've got this proverbial clock ticking, and our producers have been real strict on us lately, and so we're trying to stay with the time and what have you. We have a very prestigious guest on tonight that I had the privilege of meeting through you many years ago, and you know, I'm always piggybacking on things you can't make. And so if you can't make, you say, well, Taylor can make, and I come along and, you know, and whatnot. So it's okay. It's no problem. Story of my life, 30 years. So, but because of it, I was able to gain a tremendous friend and brother that you introduced me to, and you've been blessing their church for many, many years. And I came along and did the Sunday school, and now they love me to do. I come just to do the Sunday school. I don't do the real preaching, and but I love him, and I love his ministry and his church, and so I'm going to allow you tonight, Bishop, because, and you know, as you know, we've been having this conversation about the antithesis between church and men, and so you know, both of us have been to Chicago many, many times, and his church, I would say, is one of those churches that kind of breaks the mold when it comes to men and, you know, really senior men. I'm really impressed. Well, I'm not going to take all that away because he's got a lot to share with how his church is set up to attract men and so on and so forth, and maybe some tips he can give us and some of the real talkers on tonight, other pastors and bishops and what have you. And so, but Bishop, I'm going to give you the privilege on tonight, the pleasure on tonight of introducing our guests and setting it up before we bring him on, because I think he has a lot to add to this conversation on this evening.
Well, he is a tremendous man of God. Of course, as you have forestated, he is the pastor of the Tri-Stone Baptist Church, Full Gospel Baptist Church, that is. He serves as what we would consider a diocesan or jurisdictional prelate. He has been in Full Gospel maybe from its inception. He has strong political ties throughout Chicago in the community. He is a trusted counselor, trusted voice to the governor, to the mayor. He just has a great church. He's a great leader. He's a great model, a tremendous example. And I'm excited that Bishop Simon Gordon is with us on tonight. And Mitch, he also is strong in the music industry. He has at least 4 or 5 CDs out. He writes music, he sings, he's a musician. I mean, he is just a multi-talented man of God. And the Real Talkers are going to be extremely blessed by his ministry. Now, of course, I've had him on my platform before, but to have him now with us collectively together doing this collaborative effort, I'm very excited about it.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop. And so should we bring him on?
Yeah, let's bring him on.
All right. Bishop Simon Gordon.
Well, hey there, my brethren. How y'all doing? All is well. So wonderful. Glad to be here on Real Talk tonight. I check you guys out on Mondays back and forth, because I always get out of Bible class here at 8 o'clock, which is 9 o'clock for y'all. And they give me a chance to come in the office to see what's happening. See, y'all be having a whole lot of fun too. So I love it. I'm like, oh, so you invited me to some of the fun. Fine.
Well, you know what? You characterized it right and you couched it right. It's a conversation that is casual, but it is also competitive in this sense that we want to make sure that we're relevant, that we're revelatory, and that the conversation is resilient enough to stand any proof test. And so one of the reasons why we like to bring academics like yourself and people that are well learned and experienced in many different genres of the application and amplification of this ministry that we're executing, it's always a plus for us. And so as Bishop just illustriously kind of comprehensively put together, you kind of fit into so many different pieces, as a jurisdictional bishop, as a music mogul, as a political prolific, and as a pastor of people. And so I am writing a book, in full disclosure, on why Black men particularly do not come to church. Now, I know it has been a subject that has been examined and exhausted on different platforms and by different people that are much more fluent and academic than I am. But I want to bring it from a hood perspective, from an urban perspective, where I live in the project. I don't live in the projects anymore, but where I serve and nothing wrong with the projects. Listen, some of the best people in the world, including myself, come from the projects. And so I want to get it from that perspective. And every time I come out of the church, just like Sunday, I'm not going to say any names and lay no blames. When I came out of the church, there were several men outside waiting in the cars for their wives to come out of church. And I mean, they're sitting in Mercedes and Lexus and different whatnot. And I'm not going to blow nobody up, but I just came outside and put my hands up like this. I said, I'm trying to figure out where the men are chauffeurs and concierge. And so this is what one man said to me from the car. I said, what do I have to do to get you to come to church? He said, talk to the boss. That was a very interesting statement he made, because the boss was his wife he was referring to. Mm-hmm. And so I want to open the conversation on tonight, because I think that there are a lot of, variables that play into this dynamic. And I would love to hear from both of you who are very esteemed academics and who have studied and have traveled and have probably manicured this subject much more meticulously than I have. So, Bishop, you want to kind of jump in on that?
Which bishop you talking to?
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry, Bishop Gordon. We always kind of defer to our guests first to give us the initial comment on the subject matter. And before you actually chime in, I just want to say that Psalms number 1 has just been something that I've just kind of been pressing out there just to let men know. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Anyway, Bishop, please help us with this subject.
Well, I love it because I believe that men we're kind of like creatures of habit, and we often move based upon what we have been trained, what been taught, and then what we got accustomed to that we really learned to and that we really have enjoyed. And part of the challenge, I think, sometimes with men is that we have not quite as well showed them how to enjoy God as adults. Now, we got all the other social issues that go on in our community that kind of make those things happen. But church men need to demonstrate the enjoyment that comes out of having a relationship with God. Church men need to make God look good every time they walk down the street. Church men should make God look good in their households with their children and as examples. And our challenge sometimes is not just whether we had examples or not, but the follow through. We're so caught up in the whole idea sometime of whether or not we match up, we make up, or whether we, compete. I've had men come to the church and they just felt like, well, I don't know where I fit. We have to kind of make them, when they walk in the door, know where and discover where they fit. And when they don't have a place, we need to put them in a place, So that's, to me, it's one of the greatest things that men like to have proof. They like evidence. We pretty much left the whole brain. I know Bishop knows what I'm talking about in that instance. We categorize, we organize, we see things in spectrums. We look at it that particular way. We're not always flowery, looking at all the stuff that's attached to it. And that perspective means that we're looking for concrete. And so real men draw real men. And that is, so you got to put some real men at the door. So,
Now, Bishop, help us tonight. Help us tonight. Well, help me. Let me be selfish. Help me tonight, because you said that, men have to enjoy God as adults, right? Yes. Then you said, church men have to model enjoying God. Yes. Everywhere they go, they have to model enjoying God.
Yes.
But how do we even get the men to model enjoying God when you don't have, if you only have, a handful of men, or you only have, a 20-80 church or a 30-70 church, some people may love that today, but how do you get the men from the beginning? How do you, and I heard you say men come in and they don't know where they fit,
Yeah.
And I'm also going to throw something else in here too. How much has our religious requirements kind of, maybe have been a repellent instead of, a redemption to men, I guess?
Oh, well, look, it's a lot, because that's a lot. You see it right there. But let's go back to the enjoyment first. That means that our sons, that means that not just our biological sons. If we only have 3 spiritual sons around us every week, make sure they're around us. The Lord led me to do something last year that was all of those auxiliaries and areas of heavy leadership that had been ran by the women of the church. Nothing wrong with the women of the church running them. But the business areas, God has put me in a position to find men to do those areas that are the strongest areas in the church. And those men that used to sit back and just be a part, amen, praise God, pastor, that's it. That now when they get a chance to be in leadership, they have taken the leadership from the women and are standing up as men and making it look good. This, as an example, we had our church anniversary 2 weeks ago. The men were the drivers of all the money raising. The men led the groups. It took a couple years to get there, but it was a process of taking a few men, highlighting the men, making those men highlight other men, requiring that the men grab the boys. And if they don't do nothing, take the boys with you while we do the next thing we're going to do. But they got to be men that we're working with in the process, because we want to build an army. That's all the street does. The street builds an army because they show them what it looks like to be men. We got to show them what it looks like to be godly men. That's major.
Wow. Show them what it looks like.
Yes. To be godly men. Now, we can look at our own examples. All of us got great men in our lives that we can say were very very influencing to us in different areas. But those men that have made marks in our lives, wow, those men will have an indelible imprint on how we act, how we behave, what we walk through, and how we responded one way or another. And so it's all the things that we can be as men, strong and sometimes weak, sometimes, baffled, but always men being a covering like God covers us. Boy, I love that piece.
Bishop Page,
covering like God covers us.
Bishop Page, based on what Bishop Gordon just said, the statement that the young man made to me when I asked him, I said, "What do I have to do to get you in church?" And he leaned back in the car and pointed to his wife as they talked to the boss. What I mean, besides any other commentary you want to add to that, I just thought that was just like
well, personally, I think that was a cop-out. If I'm going to be candid, I think that was a cop-out answer to put the onus of responsibility for him coming or not coming to church on his wife. First of all, I think that's a cop-out answer. But I think to add to Bishop Gordon's commentary, I believe on top of what he said, or to add to what he has said, I think real men are passionate. I think they're passionate, and their passion drives them towards their goals. I think real men are full of integrity. They're full of morality. Their word means something. I think real men, their masculinity is not tied to a sporting event, a sporting outing, a recreation. I think a real man is someone that is laser focused on making things happen. And in order for real men to be attracted to church or any venue, they have to see that venue modeling passion, that venue modeling integrity, that venue modeling morality and stability, commitment. No real man is going to follow another man that is not stable himself. No real man is not going to follow another man that make them kind of comments, check with the boss. That's foolishness. A real man wants you to know the reason I'm not coming to church is this reason, not put the onus on anything other than his own decision not to come. And let me just say this, impressed, and he said, "I don't want to go to church." That would have made me impressed. Then I would say, you know what? Well, let me try now to influence you to come, opposed to shifting the blame on a woman. I think that's unfair, but that's my commentary.
And I want you to keep going. I just want to say, in full disclosure to everyone that's listening, I haven't talked to Bishop Page or Bishop Gordon about the characters in this theater that we're discussing today. So I don't want anyone to feel sideways about, oh, Bishop Taylor told Bishop Page that this particular person was in the car with this particular. No, these are all persons. All of the identities have been changed to protect the participants in this movie.
but can I add to that? Just one thing from what you said, Bishop Liston. That's an Adam move. God said, what y'all doing? What you doing? How you get in that position? Well, the woman, that's what did. That's an Adam move. Come on now. You can't go back to what we know was the era of the beginning and repeat it like it's acceptable right now. That doesn't work. That was an Adam move. Come on, stop, man.
Right. But let's not get stuck there, right? Let's because you said something, Bishop. You said real men are passionate, but here's the problem. How do we get passionate men to buy into? Let me tell you something. I think I'm a pretty cool pastor. I don't want to blow my own trumpet. Maybe I ain't cool enough because they ain't coming in the way I think they should be coming in. And so what am I doing wrong? I mean, listen, I'm there with them. I have integrity. I'm not diluting my brevity or my what. I can say this publicly because I know people that know me, that know the church, know the ministry and the work that I do all over the city. I don't have to compromise. You know what I mean? To identify.
But for men to be impacted, it must be intentional. When you think about the Nation of Islam, which to me is not a pure form of Islamic worship, but Afrocentric Nation of Islam, they are intentional at targeting men. We in the Christian church are not as intentional as it is to targeting men. And men like to see other men with passion, with drive, with commitment, concretized thinkings, with goals, with aspirations. Faithful to their relationships. The real men like to see other men with a wife, raising a family, with children. Real men like to see that. There's a misnomer that masculinity is tied to sports, recreation. Those things are good, but those things don't define real masculinity or real manhood, because we have women today that are just as passionate about sports and recreation in those events as men are. But men normally gravitate to other men that are passionate. Think about Louis Farrakhan. And I'm just using him as an example, Simon and Mitch. He is very passionate about what he believes and what he teaches and what he preaches. And he gets people around him, men around him, whose minds are pliable, that are open to receive his teaching, his instruction, and he models. I think our issues are we're trying to teach and instruct and to inform and to shape and transform people who are concrete already. They don't want to change. They don't want to do any better. Hence, they make excuses for why they don't do what they should be doing. A real man does not make excuses. A real man takes accountability for his choices, and he does not mind dealing with the consequence and the repercussion of that.
Well, can I join in there? Because listen, you really said that passionate word stuck out to me, and the way that it stuck out to me is when a man is passionate, it makes other men curious. The whole deal is that we have to decide when we are in the leadership capacity to not make our righteous curiosity, not allow it to be crushed. because curiosity is a first responder when it comes to attraction. People go toward what they're curious toward. And it's the way that we handle things. Because I mean, if you look at curiosity simply, it's the only key that sustains our drive in the area. It makes us go after it. It makes us stick with it till we figure it out. And men like to figure stuff out. And men like to go through the whole process of it. Understand, the moment we become disinterested, we're susceptible to becoming sloppy. But curiosity is what keeps us, what drives us. You know, when I hear you, and I heard you preach, and I heard you speak, that curiosity is what makes me, wait, I need the next part. It makes me come. When I see you walk in success, when I see you carry it with that passion that you just got through talking about, it then makes me like, where'd you get that from? And now, why does my wife keep running here? I need to see what's happening. I had more men come to church trying to figure out why their wives like it so much. Yeah, but when they get in the door, they become the focus. I'm like, when a man come in, y'all go get him. The men's ministry man in the practical sense knows that if it's a man that came through the door, they know from where I stand, and y'all both have been in my pulpit, you know you can see everybody. Because in the circle, you can see everybody around. They know, go. If there's a man there, make sure you introduce yourself. That whole deal is, once you get them curious, you got to get them, you got to grab them and snatch them. And I know we got the old thing, but the old antigens about curiosity kills the cat and all that foolishness that's attached to it. But righteous curiosity is 100% different. You know, when we look at what it is, and there's something about the future in you that I want. That's what curiosity does. There's something that's in the future about you that I want, and I see it, and it is driving me. It develops interest. That whole thing about people stimulating their curiosity, like that's something. Then, you know, another thing that I think is so important: men have to have something to do.
They have to have something to do. Their curiosity must be stirred. But once their curiosity is stirred and they have something to do, whoever is mentoring them, whoever is training them, must also be extremely open about their struggles.
Yes.
About the process that they have gone through to get to where they are. Men do not like ambiguity. Men thrive in areas or in venues or in relationships that are transparent. Even when they're not transparent, men love transparency, not translucency. They love transparency. And a real man you will see that person really thrive and excel when another man who that man trusts and wants to model is honest about, let me show you my scars. Let me show you my limp. Let me tell you how I've gotten to where I am. It has not been easy. It has been hard. It has been difficult. It has been a struggle. Men don't not like vanilla presentations. Like everything is just going to work out for the good. Biblically, we use the text, and it does. But let's talk about the process to the good. All things work together for the good. But let's talk about the all things that one must go through in order to end up on the good. I think that is what real men is looking for.
Now, Bishop, would you agree, Bishop Page? Would you agree? Let's set a baseline here, Bishop Gordon and Bishop Page. Okay. Can we all agree that the church has been on a deficient end as it relates to male population in church attendance?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right, cool. Now, so that didn't just start. That's historic, right?
I wouldn't say, now Simon may beg to differ with me, but I would not say that that's historic. For us to say that is historic from where? Where are you pulling the data to come up with that hypothesis? I think that maybe in your context, my context, Simon context, but I don't think that it has always been a female, gender-driven religion or venue or place of gathering. I think that has happened over time. And the reason I say that, the document that we say is inspired by God, the Holy Bible, that which has been canonized by the church fathers. It is a patriarchal, misogynistic document. So that means it is jaded towards the male perspective. So if it's jaded towards the male perspective, that tells me that there was a time when there were more males that were interested in the document. In fact, to the point where Paul will even say, women, if you want to learn something, if you want to have insight,
Right.
don't learn at home with your husbands. Your husbands are supposed to be teaching you and reading to you and instructing to you and giving you a proper hermeneutic. Now, that thing has changed, but to say historic, I wouldn't say that. I would say it may have evolved to that, but that is not the historical basis.
Well, I'm glad. So looking through the lens of Western eyes, all right? And of course, that's why I wanted to set the baseline. I love this. That's why I love Real Talkers talking to academics like Bishop Gordon and Bishop Page, because these guys are phenomenal. So we know that the Bible was a misogynistic, patriarchal book, all right, that was with a male, it was
Bias.
Right? A male bias. There you go, male bias. Right. So what happened, right? 12 men. What happened over what happened over the years that, all right, we can go from the Eastern eyes to the Western eyes. I'd like to hear both perspectives on that. What happened over time that disintegrated the presence of men or diminished the presence of men?
It's not diminished in some countries. It's not diminished in some places. Some places it's still predominant. It's not so in this country. And this country, and what it's done, if you talk about Black people, if we're going to look at a sociological picture of it, look at what happened just in the last 40 years with African-American men and their households and jail and crime and the laws and the things that brought Black males out of the household. Our fight often in our community is based on the fact that we've had a whole lot of hits along that line. And so when you go outside, to ask the brother, what it take to get you to come in, he's got a whole lot of history that's attached to why the brothers in his life have not been using the church as the safe house, because they didn't had a whole lot of other safe houses that they've had to deal with, at this time. And so we're behind the mat on some of this stuff where we have to really go out and grab them, and we got to teach them and do everything, because even from slavery time to this time, we've been get hit over and over again as African Americans in this particular area. But you can go to churches in some countries and you'll see the male population is heavy, in those particular areas. So,
now, I've heard the word being thrown out here a few times by both of you gentlemen, intentional. It sounds like to me that the Bible was intentional, being patriarchal, having a male bias. So it was intentional. So, and now you're saying that there are still places where that demonstration is still personified. Now, you mentioned slavery, very interesting dynamic. Now, how much did that play into, or if any, did that have an impact on male presence, from a Black perspective, for the church in or through the Western lens?
Well, let me say this before Bishop Gordon comes back. Let me just say this. I think we need to be very clear when we talk about the Bible being misogynistic and patriarchal. We're talking about a time when that was the cultural perspective and the cultural soil that truth was coming out of, was emerging out of that soil when men and their maleness was dominant. We know, based on the creative mind of God, that God created male and female, and they was supposed to be in an egalitarian type of environment. But because of the fall and because of our orthodox hermeneutic of male and female, it appears as though that God was jading more towards the male than it was the female. But both of them were to complement each other. They were supposed to each have distinct roles, and their roles were not one was greater than the other, but they were to walk in harmony and synergy, and they were supposed to complement each other. So let me say that. So the word of God, the Bible that we read out of, comes out of that soil. Now we have to be very careful when we present it, that our hermeneutic is explaining the context, so we don't pollute or poison or misrepresent the content. Okay. Now, I believe when you bring into what Bishop Gordon so eloquently talked about in terms of slavery, I think he's talking about, he can correct me if I'm wrong, a 400-year pathology that has been developed by the slave master. That's a pathology that comes from the transatlantic slave trade and through the whole 400 years of us being enslaved. Out of that experience comes a mindset, comes behavior, comes idiosyncratic behaviors and idiosyncratic experiences. Out of that experience, so it develops a pathology that unfortunately is now nomenclatured inside the church. And what we see as men is nothing more than a pathology. We don't trust each other. We don't have confidence in each other. We backstab each other. We denigrate each other. We don't know how to resolve conflict with each other. That is part of the whole strategy of the slave master to keep us divided, divide and conquer. That was the mentality. And we as men must be, going back to your term, intentional about unmasking that and explaining it and articulating it in clear terms. And I saw one of the questions in the chat about the Hebrew Israelites. Well, most of those type of religions that are popping up, they're popping up to give someone an Afrocentric or black people, brown people, black people, some sense of identity, some sense of wealth, a worth and wealth. And it is also to try to dismiss this watershed of Europeanization and colonization and Americanization. That's why they come up with these new interpretations, ideologies, and trying to go back to the original man. It had to be a black man, because they want to give us some sense of value and some sense of worth. But if you unpack the scriptures properly to a man, if you explain the word of God to a man intentionally, that man will be transformed. He doesn't need a history lesson to make him know that he was in the Garden of Eden in order to feel like he's valuable. No, he just needs a proper interpretation of the scriptures. And that's in my humble opinion.
Wow.
I like to add to it, because I think that we win in history too. I think, with scripture, and man, I'm so in line with Bishop, what you just said about, really, that's the nuts and bolts of the change for a man to really be. You're not going to be a real God man without the God in front. and you gotta have that as the posture. But those who know their biblical history, when you deal with the Hebrew Israelites and all of them, if you really know your history, you know that around that Mediterranean, during the time that when we talk about the translation of scripture and taking that Septuagint and having it translated into Latin, was done by Tertullian, which was an African philosopher who actually took it to Jerome and in Italy. And out of them, they came up with the Catholic Church out of that. That was a black man. So historically, when we understand really our role in making sure that they understand, that people understand even the process of idioms and practices that are in the Bible, they've been pulled out as sometime now doctrinal practices across the board. A lot of those were established really with black men who were the theologians of that period in time, who established them for the church. But you don't get a chance to go through that level of study until you go into a higher degree of education, and you know really where blacks have been. And so we win historically as well as we win practically, and we definitely win spiritually.
And I guess the whole thing then boils down to, you know, intentionally transmitting this message. And when I hear you talk like that, Bishop Gordon, it reminds me of the Nation of Islam and the things that attracted me at one time when I was a young man to some of the principles and tactics that they employed to attract men. By what Bishop Page said, you know, bringing up these statistics that the black man was the original man, the cream of the planet Earth, and Yakub was his grafted devil, and before there was light, there was darkness. You can't have light without darkness, and black was never bad. And you know, they indoctrinate, and it kind of and then it makes you feel like, yeah, I am somebody. And so it make, you know, so I think that Bishop Page said it, I think, better than I can even rehearse it again or repeat it, is that if you mentor a man the proper way in the word, there is no way that he won't be inspired. Now, and I guess that's what I'm looking for. What is that pathology? What is that roadmap that we need? You know, I want the roadmap. I know that other real talkers, I know other pastors are watching, saying, "Give me this water," like the woman at the woman at the well. You know, Jesus was saying, "Listen, blah blah blah," and all this and that. She said, "Hey, hold up, let's stop the presses. Give me this water." Bishops, how do we help the real talkers get this water to draw these men?
Well, I mean, if you could look at it from that context, give me this water. You say you're asking for life. You're asking for something that is refreshing. You're asking for something that's going to bring them renewal. And that is supposed to be the word that we teach and the word that we preach.
Right.
Maybe men are not coming to church because when they have come, they have not gotten any of their thirst quenched. There was no water being given for them to drink. There was no real life being spoken. You know, you have to speak to men in the areas where they are most unfulfilled. And when a man is unfulfilled, looking for fulfillment, you have to first show him how he can create places of fulfillment to fill those voids, those empty places. And if the word of God is that, then we have to be more intentional in how we present this truth that is supposed to bring the satisfaction. Jesus said, if I give you the water, you will never thirst again. He was not talking about, of course, anything natural. It's a metaphor. He was talking about, once I give you this truth, you will never thirst again. And he says, where is your husband? You said, since you want some truth, let's start there. Where is your husband? I have none. You're right. You had 5, and the one you with now ain't yours. Yes, Lord. Now, that shows me that in order for you to start drinking something that's going to refresh you, you got to be honest about where you are. A lot of men walk in denial. They live in denial. They're not honest about where they are. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we're in a fig leaf society where we put on an outer image, or we project an outer persona that says we're something that we're really not. And then a real man, when I say real man, that wants to be passionate and wants to be connected to something that is authentic, when he finds out what he is following is as flawed and is as weak and frail as he is, he loses confidence. I would rather you tell me I'm flawed like you, I'm weak like you, I can identify with your addictions like you, than to find out you put on this facade that you had none. That's what you have to appreciate about the Nation of Islam. And I'm going to characterize, because they're both different. Real Islamic faith versus the Nation of Islam is different in practice, in terms of the Afrocentric twist to it. In the Nation of Islam, of course, the men out front are honest. I was in jail. I was on drugs. I was abusive. I had an addiction. Look at what Allah, through the teachings of the Honorable whoever, look what it has done for me. We got too many people out front that are afraid to say, look at my limp. Look at my scars. Let me tell you my process. Real men want to hear about an authentic deliverance. Now I'm going to a Pentecostal term, deliverance. They want to hear about how you got delivered. Yeah. You didn't come here delivered. How did you get delivered?
This takes us right back to full circle, making God look good. Men, real men, make God look good. They wear the godliness in them well. They make God look good. And I'm telling you, you talked about just a few minutes ago, you talked about, you dealt with the water, them getting fulfilling, them having refreshing. Well, if it's and it coming through the word that we give them, that's exactly what you said, coming through the word that we give them. Well, we know that if we don't have that word, we're not going to have that faith. And to build faith in people, it has come through the essence of getting the word as a process. It's got to get in the ear, to get out into the heart and get in the mind and be a part of the life expression. And then when the faith is caught, the faith is not afraid of what you've never done. They'll start then becoming what they're supposed to be. Because faith is never afraid of what you've never done. Faith always goes after as much as I can be. That's a big turn. That's a big turn on when I can be what I've never been, because now I got something that I never had from somebody who I did not know I could get it from. And God then turns you on to something bigger than yourself. And it's an awesome relationship.
Wow. Woo. Listen, it's 9:56. And I mean, that was a perfect close for this segment of church and men and the antithesis thereof. I don't think we got to the destination I wanted to get to yet, but I know we're certainly down the highway a little bit further than we were last week because of you, Bishop Simon Gordon, and of course you, Bishop Page, with this dialogue on tonight. And I'm certain from the comments that were posted, we had problems with this particular platform being able to post comments tonight. So I apologize to the Real Talkers tonight. That wasn't done intentionally. That was done because there's some kind of breakdown in the stream here. But we hopefully will have that fixed when we come back on. Also, I saw some comments about, are we going to be turning back on the call-in line? And the answer to that question is yes. I got to get Rick back over to the studio to reenact our call-in line because some people wanted to call in and ask some questions. And so we want to be able to activate that for next week. So you guys will be able to call and ask your questions on tonight. Just before we close, I want both of you guys to, if you were to summarize maybe 2 points, if you had 3, that you would give to Real Talkers, being composed of people that are in the church that want to see more men in the church, pastors that are leading churches that have a deficiency, bishops. And I mean, if two or 3 points that you might be able to give as a summary on tonight to Real Talkers would be a tremendous thing. So Bishop Gordon, I want to extend to you again the courtesy of going first.
Because that's the real preacher coming after me. So we I get it. No, I thank you. Thank God for you, my brothers. I'd like to say basically that many of us don't spend enough time paying attention to the way God has directed our lives to end up in places that reveal the varying giftings that list and live within us. We miss our opportunity to become who we can be by not doing and pursuing what God says we should pursue. When in truth, we are the sum total of God recreating us from all the stuff we allowed ourselves to become. And that's part of the challenge, is that often the reason why we haven't been able to tap into it is that we miss opportunities of going through the doors. I want to encourage some men that's watching us today to come on in and go through the door. And God deals with you. All your life has been going through doors. You got to pass through doors to get to where you got, to go from one room to another room, to get to one place to another place. They're manual doors. You got to twist the knob and turn to get to those. So those are a little rougher to go through, but go ahead, twist and go through. They're revolving doors. They include timing. You got to catch it when it's twisting. You got to jump in when it's going around. If your timing in life right, you'll always get to the other side. God can give you everything you need. But then there's another door that when you get through, when you get your faith moving and get where you need to be in God, and that's censored doors. Those doors, you don't have to turn the knob. You don't have to catch up with timing. All you need to show up, and the censor will open the door for you. And there's some things that God wants to do with some men that's watching us today and who will be able to see this even later, that all you got to do is show up and God's going to open the door and bless your life because you've chosen and made him the decision that for the rest of your life, that's going to bless your life and everybody you're attached to.
Wow. There are doors that you have to open. There are doors that you have to time. Yeah. There are doors that you just have to show up to.
That's it.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you, Bishop. Bishop Page.
Well, listen, I think Bishop Gordon has said it eloquently. He's kind of summed it all up. But if I was going to add anything at all, it would be that any man that's going to operate in those 3 realms or dimensions has to be dependable. Men have to be dependable. They have to be dependable. And real men have to learn how to manage their emotions and stay calm in the face of conflicts. Have to. A real man has to always keep his word. I think those 3 things for me are paramount. Someone that keeps their word, someone that is dependable, and someone that is able to manage conflict. They have positive emotional intelligence. I think that will help you to be able to reap the benefits of operating in all 3 of those areas that Bishop Simon Gordon so eloquently presented to us.
Yes. Well, listen, you heard it right here on Real Talk tonight. And I want to thank our special guest, Bishop Simon Gordon, all the way from the Tried Stone Full Gospel Baptist Church, located in Chicago, Illinois. Bishop, give us the exact address in case and the times of your services so folks that are in the Chicago area can join you.
Oh, yeah. We're at 1415 West 104th Street. That's in the Beverly area on the south side of Chicago. We're at church. We have 7-day church. Something's going on every day. But on Sunday, we have a 9 a.m. service, and we have Monday night service. That's where Liston had preached 1,000 times. Monday night service at 7 o'clock, and we have a great time. I preach. I'm wet right now because they made me preach till I wet my clothes up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Please get over to the Tried Stone Full Gospel Baptist Church in Beverly, in Chicago, Illinois. Bishop Page, well, here we go. We have another one for the books. Bishop, I'm going to let you go because I know you sacrificed to be here on tonight. I want everyone to know that Bishop came out of a live worship service.
Wow.
Into you, Bishop Gordon.
Yeah.
You came out of a live worship service from preaching.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
During the test, I heard you in the background preaching. And you wasn't just teaching, you was preaching, man.
Yeah.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you, and I'm going to cut you loose on tonight. And me and Bishop are going to do the final salutations to the real talkers on tonight, and we'll talk to you in a little while.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.
Love you, Bishop.
I love you too.
Thank you. Well, listen, Bishop, this was another one for the history books. Wow, right?
Tremendous dialogue, great insight. Bishop Gordon is extremely insightful. He's an erudite. He's an academician. He's just a great man of God, and he's even a better friend and brother. So we enjoyed him tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, it would be. I mean, we would go over the top tonight. If we could really say thank you to Bishop Gordon, and to really say thank you and pay homage and patronage to what it makes to make this world spin around and round and round every week. So I'm going to ask, I got a very simple request on tonight. I just need 20 people to join with us on tonight with a seed of 40 on tonight. If 20 people did that, I'm going to be one to do it on tonight. And Bishop Page said he's going to be another. If you just put in the comment section tonight, done on tonight, then I'll know that you did the 40. And I need those 20 people to do that, just to stand with us as intercessors on tonight, so that we can continue to make Real Talk. Thank you, Bishop Page. Real Talk every Monday night. And I believe that every Monday night that we're on, the people of God are tremendously blessed. And so we want you the ways to give are on the screen. If you're giving Cash App, $ the Kohi Nation. If you're using PayPal or Zelle, kohigives@gmail.com. kohigives@gmail.com. So please use the comment section to amplify your giving on tonight, so that we might be able to acknowledge your gifts and thank you for the seeds that you sent on this evening. And we thank you in advance. We can't thank you enough for your support of our programming on tonight and on every Monday night. We don't come on because we expect compensation. I believe that our witness is in heaven and our record is on high, and that the Lord is going to take care of us. But we want to make sure that we take care of you, because we realize and we recognize that the secret to your blessing is sowing a seed into the work of God. And so I believe God blesses what we support. And so we're asking you on tonight to chime in and support with your seed on this evening. Thank you, Bishop Gordon, for your seed of 40 on tonight. Thank you. Thank you. So as you're sowing on tonight, please hit the green check mark and put it in the comment section, so that we know that you are with us on this evening. Those of you that are joining us after this broadcast has aired live, the same anointing that was on The live airing of it is on this repeat that you're watching right now. And so guess what? If it's new to you, it's new anyway. So let the Lord bless you as you sow a seed on tonight. We thank everybody. We thank everybody on tonight for joining us in the comment section and whatnot. Those of you said, Bishop, I didn't have a $40 seed on tonight, but I can sow a $20 seed on tonight. We don't want to leave one person out, not one person out. Sow that seed on tonight and just put something in the comment section, put a check mark or put done in the comment section, letting us know that you are with us tonight in this season of giving. And I always say, if the seed doesn't have meaning to you, it doesn't have meaning to God. And so we encourage you to give on tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Bishop Page, any last words you want to make on tonight before we...
No, man, this was fantastic. I look forward to the next installment on next Monday night.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, listen, guys, keep sowing those seeds. We acknowledge you in advance. Thank you for sowing it. God is going to bless you. And listen, don't forget, Friday night, this Friday night, the Fall of the Prophet. Are you on with Encounter tonight, Bishop?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The Encounter with the Highway Church at 7 and Fall of the Prophet at 9. We're looking for you to meet us on Friday night. Guess what? You'll never have a dull moment or a boring time with us. We'll keep you busy. God bless you. We'll see you real soon.